Hey guys, it's me again. Well, it's a brand new year, and so first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. So it's the first month of the year, and that got me thinking about the first episodes of anime, because there are some anime, even if they might not be so good later on, the first episodes are really amazing, and I want to give a shout out to those anime that have an amazing first episode. So yeah, here's my top 10 first episodes in anime. So at number 10 we have Another, and the reason why I like the first episode of Another so much is that it really gets you into the experience almost immediately. And the reason being that the main character just moved to this new village and something weird's going on in that village. He talks to a couple of his to-be classmates and they act strangely, and he meets this really weird girl. And it's just a really good first episode because it really captures the atmosphere of the rest of the series. And the reason that it's quite low on the list, despite that atmosphere, the rest of the series didn't really stick to that feeling that was portrayed so well in the first episode. So yeah, I really think this is a fantastic first episode of its own, but because of the series that it's connected to, well, it was still a good series, but it didn't really stay with that. It wasn't really a good introduction to the rest of the series. That's why it's here at number 10. And on number 9 we have Death Parade. And the reason I like the first episode of Death Parade so much is because, just like Another, it really gets you into the atmosphere of the series very quickly, but it also introduces you to the world of the series. It immediately explains kind of what's going to go on in the rest of the series, like the core concept, and all the stuff around that isn't added until the second episode. So I really like that it kind of brought you into the experience. And it's also nice that the first episode of Death Parade makes sure that you are on the same level of people who have seen Dead Billiards, because Dead Billiards is kind of the precursor to this one, and you need to understand some things about that to understand Death Parade, but all of that is explained in this very first episode. So it kind of puts everybody on the same level of knowledge, so you can watch the rest of the series and enjoy the heck out of it, because Death Parade is an awesome series. So at number 8 we have Danganronpa, and unlike the previous series that I mentioned, Danganronpa doesn't immediately start off as an introduction to the series or the feeling that the series has. It's much more natural. You follow this main character and they believe that they are going to a new school, and you follow this character through the events that happen, and I think that's really nice because it puts you on the same level as the character. And sometimes it's nice to know more than other characters, but it's also nice to have that mystery here. Just like in Another, there was a lot of mystery, but here the mystery is not so much conveyed through just weird interactions and a lot of atmosphere, but it's much more explained in the case of the narrative and the stuff that actually happens. And in a way, I just like that a lot better. And I think the first episode of Danganronpa really ends on a great cliffhanger. Like, it immediately gets you into the feeling and you want to continue. And I just think it's worthy of this number 8 spot here on this list. So at number 7 we have Aldnoah Zero. Aldnoah Zero is one of these series that starts off quite slowly. It's just about a couple of high schoolers that live on the earth, but they slowly explain the world that they're in and everything that's going on. And it isn't until later in that same first episode that shit really starts to hit the fan, and it basically sets in motion, this one event basically sets in motion the entire rest of the series. And I really like it when series do this, when they start off slow, but suddenly something happens and everything starts to go wrong, or everything starts to just start happening. It might not be the introduction to the rest of the series, and it doesn't start immediately with the right feeling, as it were, but it does start with like the explanation of everything. Now, you don't just get to hear, so this is how it is, but you also see why it becomes like that. And that's what I really enjoyed about the first episode of Aldnoah Zero, and that's why it's here at number 7. So at number 6 we have Akame ga Kill. And Akame ga Kill was a really fun series, but I don't think any of it matched up to its very first episode, because when I first watched it I was absolutely blown away by it. I was literally like, okay, this is going to be an amazing show, and well, it was fun, but it wasn't that amazing as I expected it to be. Because the first episode, I can't explain too much about it, you just have to watch it for yourself, because it's really just great watching that episode without knowing anything much about it. But it does have some similarities with stuff like Danganronpa, and that you don't really understand what's going on. Just work really well for a first episode because it really draws you in and it makes you want to know more about what's going to happen in this series. And that's why I put Akame ga Kill's first episode here at number 6. So at number 5 we have Attack on Titan. Although I might not like Attack on Titan as much as many other people do, I really think the first episode is a great first episode. Much like Aldnoah Zero, it starts off quite slowly and kind of gets you into the experience, and it explains the world that they're in. But unlike Aldnoah Zero kind of explains how everything comes to be, but with Attack on Titan it's much more of a sudden change. It's just like bam, everything is suddenly changing. And it kind of puts you into the position of what it would actually be like to be in such a position, because it wouldn't be like slow and steady and you understand what's happened. No, it's just a sudden change and everything's going to shit. And that's why I like this first episode so much. Also because it pretty much sets you up for the rest of the series, because there are no breaks in Attack on Titan. Everything just keeps on getting worse. And this first episode embodies that perfectly. So that's why I like this first episode so much, and that's why it's here at number 5. At number 4, we have Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul is another one of these series that just has an amazing first episode, but the rest of the series is also really good and really ties into this first episode. Because the first episode both explains about the world and puts you into the right mindset, while also having the stuff suddenly starting happening, which I really like when you look at the rest of this list. I just think that the first episode of Tokyo Ghoul really has the right pacing for a first episode, and it really draws you in. And it's just really likable and really puts you in the position of the character and makes you understand them better, because if you didn't, well, it would kind of get annoying. But I think this first episode really helps the rest of the series going, because in a way you can still empathize with that character and the position, even if it's really, well, fantasy-like. And that's why I like so much, that empathy is really necessary, and the first episode makes exactly that, and it's just a blast to watch. So yeah, that's first episode of Tokyo Ghoul here at number 4. So at number 3, we have Psychopath. And what I really like about Psychopath is, much like I mentioned before, that you're put in a position where you really don't know much about the world. And you're following somebody who is actually new in this world. She's following a new job and she's becoming an enforcer, which is kind of a sort of police agent. And I really like that you kind of follow her along on her first day and get to know about their work in that way. It immediately shows you, much more than tells you, what exactly is going on in this world, how stuff works, and how criminals are caught and found. And that makes it really interesting. But more so than that, it also immediately introduces you to both the main character and her ideals and how she thinks in this world, because she doesn't agree with how grim and pessimistic her superior sees this world, sees this work, and she wants to make the world a better place. And that's really cool, because they get immediately introduced to that here in this first episode. And with that, it introduces you to the basic conflict in this series between the pessimism and the optimism. And that's what I really liked about this first episode. It introduced you to the world. It's a good episode to watch. It's just really exciting and suspenseful. And more so than that, it just introduced you to the world, but also to the core concept of the series, that conflict that keeps coming back. And that's why I put the first episode of Psychopath here at number 3. And at number 2, we have Gakugarashi School Life. When I first watched this series, I didn't really know what I was getting into, and I honestly think that's the best way to get into this series, because I don't think it would have that much of an effect on me if I had known what was going to happen, or if I had known what the series was about. Because the first episode really truly shines when you know nothing about it. And although that might not make it a perfect first episode, that you have to kind of have the right mindset to get into it, but I think that the stuff it made me feel just there in the first episode was strong enough to really make it shine. So I haven't put it at number 1 because of that reasoning, because, you know, you kind of need to not know anything about it to get the full effect, but because the effect was so amazing and strong, I still put it here at number 2, and I would definitely recommend you to go watch the first episode. And at number 1, my favorite first episode of, well, not all anime, but all anime that I've watched, it's Erased. And I truly think that the first episode of Erased is almost perfect. I love it so much because it just has a lot of great things. It starts off a bit slow and with exposition about the power that the main character has, but from then on out, it basically just starts going and it doesn't stop until basically the end of the series. And I think that's really the reason that it's so easy to just watch all of it in one sitting, because it just has this great introduction into the world. You know, kind of the power of the main character, but you also kind of get to feel the powerlessness, because so many stuff happens, and much like I've said before, it doesn't explain to you everything through exposition aside from the first part. It explains a lot of it by just showing it and people looking at stuff, and it's just really good. And I think the amount of twists just in this first episode really put it above the rest of this list, and it's just so darn good, and it's attached to a great series as well. It really ties in with the rest of the series. Some first episodes are really good just as first episodes, but this is not just a good first episode, it's also a good first episode for this series, and that's why I think that it really deserves this number 1 spot on this list. So yeah, number 1, the first episode of Erased. So yeah, that's it for me, another top 10 done. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching it, because I really enjoyed making it. If there are any other anime with great first episodes that you think that I've missed, please put them down in the comments, because I love to read what you guys think. And if you want to watch any other videos here on Waffles with Nerds, you can click here on the left to see my previous top 10, which was about best friends in anime. Or you can click here on the right to watch our Vlogmas series, because if you haven't yet, they were a lot of fun and I hope you guys enjoyed watching those too. So yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I guess I'll see you guys later. Bye bye!